And really, if I had started to change the headline and stuff, there's just no way I could have ever reached anything like that with my version. And obviously, it could have been that his version would have beaten mine by 5 times. But then again, in such a small time, there's no way you could actually find differences in very small details.
Yeah, this obviously you have a smiling picture there, and now it just, even though there's a lot of text on the page, it's actually easier to read.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that if you start really digging into the stuff that makes a difference, I think it's in the copy and the headlines and all that. But yeah, one of the things is that the font is slightly bigger, or actually I'm not sure about that, but it's not as wide. The page isn't as wide. The pictures are different, and I like my headlines a bit better. And just generally, I try to make it maybe a bit more readable, but it's really impossible to say what specifically made the difference, because we only tested 2 different variations, and they were significantly different in all fronts. But sure, I think the design makes a small difference. One of the things is that his site and really his brand is about a specific red color. So not having it on his site seemed a bit weird, or not having it on the sales page. I think it might have been even a small disconnect for people. But I think the point was really more about how the copy is completely different. So it's going to create a completely different result.
Yeah, if you test small changes, you're going to get small impact. If you test big changes, you're going to get big impact. Either way.
Yeah.
But either way, you're going to learn about your audience and let them make the decision.
Yeah. But then again, here's one test that I've run on my own site. And this is really more about how even changes that look small can actually end up creating very big results. So here's the original page. This is for a PDF that people can download, which is about landing page optimization. So this isn't the original. I had already spent a lot of time testing different variations, and I had gotten a very nice conversion rate with traffic coming from guest posts. The traffic converted around 45%. So it was fairly good conversion rate, even for kind of warm-ish traffic. So I didn't expect any huge results from any kinds of tests, but I started to look at it, and the thought crept into my mind that maybe people don't really believe that I'm credible. So what I did was I added this featured in bar at the top, which just has a few sites where I've written for. And the result was that this converted 37% higher, which meant around 60% for traffic coming from guest posts. So it was a pretty remarkable difference. But it made me think that, okay, maybe I should do something else to really increase the trust level. Now, here's the next version. And the only difference is that I added a testimonial at the end. Before I say the result, the something to note is that between these tests, the traffic source changed. I didn't send any traffic from guest posts to this page anymore, but rather it came from actually Copyblogger's Premise site, which is the software I use to create the page. They have this showcase of landing pages created with Premise, and all the people who come through there, they're not really looking for information. They're looking for ideas on sites or on landing pages. So you can really expect very small conversion rates. And sure enough, the conversion rate of this version, which was at 60% for guest post traffic, went to 11% or 13% or something like that. So adding the testimonial did a very huge difference. It increased the conversion rate by 270%, and that's at like 97, 98% probability. So it was, I couldn't really believe it, so I let it run for like 2 weeks or something, and then it really stuck there, which was just unbelievable. So I thought that, okay, maybe there's really something to this testimonial that really works. So the next test was, okay, by the way, between the tests, I added a few more logos at the top bar, and I think, there's like a different call to action. So those helped a little, but nothing major. But the last test was this. So nothing else happened, but I flipped the testimonials around. And sure enough, the conversion rate went up by more than 200%. again, although in between those tests, it had also crept down a bit. So it ended up around 50% or 40%, something like that. And it has gone up and down quite a bit. But the point was that if a small change is exactly the change that you need to make, it can make a big difference. But if you start doing it blindly, or if you start changing the headline, if, for example, I would have said get more sales and leads instead of leads and sales, I don't think I would have gotten any result. But when the small change, flipping the testimonials around, is the right change to make, then it can make very big difference in the conversion rate, even though it is actually a very minor change on the page.
It's definitely, minor as far as, design wise, but I think you're creating a better visual hierarchy, as your eye is able to really flow down that page. So I think it's actually essentially a bigger difference. You're starting at the top with, what they're calling, social proof, which is essentially credibility. You're establishing yourself, leveraging other people's logos, and then the visual hierarchy as you're able to scan down the page. And, it kind of makes sense that those two testimonials are at the bottom, because as soon as you get to that button to the main call to action, you kind of reinforced by two bigger even testimonials right there.
Yeah. Well, my website is petersandeen.com. Sandeen is sand, E-E-N. Just Google it. You'll probably find it. And I think there is currently probably no obvious link to the conversion optimization webinar, but if you sign up and send me an email, I'll send you a link to it. It is somewhere. I just don't remember where.
Yeah, we can put it in the show notes as well as,
Yeah, I'll get you the link for it. But I think if people are interested in more in the value proposition stuff, the most popular download people have, or I have on my website, is about finding the core of your value proposition. It's at petersandeen.com/value. And the point is that it really gives you some sort of framework for finding the very core ideas that you can then build the really fully developed value proposition around. It has opened up quite a lot for some people. Some people haven't found it so useful, but I've had very lengthy conversation with people who have just figured out why they haven't seen any results, or how they have been able to double their results very, very quickly just because they suddenly knew what to focus on. So I think if you're interested in my stuff, I think that's a good place to start.
I did want to let you know about a course that I just released about the top 10 e-commerce optimization strategies that I do for all of my clients to get bigger results. I go through the tools that I use, how to use them, and get the best results actually from those tools. If you want to get the course, all you have to do is visit my website, alexdesigns.com/free course.